not the precepts, but the Namo Tassa and the three refuges. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. So friends, welcome to this Sunday afternoon Dhamma session. So this week we're continuing to look at the Dhammapada verses in the 4th chapter called The Flowers, chapter on analogy to flowers. And we're going to be looking at verses 47 and 48 first off, and then a few others if we have time. So I'm going to read the Pali verse and then give the English translations. Pupani heva panchinatam bayasatta manasam naram suttam gamam mahogova machu adaya gacchati. The translation of this is, the man who gathers the flowers of sensual pleasures, whose mind is distracted, carries off as a great flood sweeps away a sleeping village, or death carries away that person, carries him off as a flood sweeps away a sleeping village. So in this verse it says the man, but equal equality all around, right? It could be a woman also, right? Swept away by sensual passions. So here the analogy to flowers are sensual passions, because when you're out walking around, or you go to a botanical garden, or maybe in your own garden at home, or wherever it might be, you see some beautiful flowers. People want to go over there, and look at the colors and smell the nice smells, right? So this analogy of the flowers for sensual passions. And the sensual passions refer to any of the 5 physical senses, although it could even include the mind. So it means all of our 5 physical senses, people have there's an attraction to them. Fresh smelling fragrance, smells. People use perfume and deodorants and all this stuff to try to smell good. And, the perfume markets are all about trying to find the best fragrance that attracts the opposite sex to them, and all this kind of stuff. And you all know that. But and the same with the other, the sensual passions, from what we see and taste and touch and so on, a craving for the pleasurable feeling that comes from the sensual pleasures. And basically, most of people's lives are centered around that. So anyway, the person who gathers the flowers, that means they are purposely, they're kind of addicted to these things, and they go out of their way to try to get the most beautiful things to see or to smell or to taste, to touch, feel, and even to think about. So people have sensual fantasies, don't they? Or they like to fantasize about sensual pleasures and so on that they may not have. So death carries away as a great flood sweeps away a sleeping village. So you've all heard stories, right, of villages being swept away in great floods, especially villages that are up, at the base of a mountain where there's a lake or some other thing, and then the dam bursts and the whole village gets washed away. And we can see that even in floods in this country. So in the middle of the night, a flood comes down and can wash away a whole village. So in the same way, death carries away people whose minds are obsessed by sensual pleasures. Now that can mean a couple of things. One is that the indulgence in the sensual pleasure can actually cause your death, such as if you go and try to get sensual pleasure and with something that belongs to somebody else, then that could cause your death. Or, people go into dangerous places to smell, maybe you see a nice smelling flower on a mountain edge and you go over there to smell it, and then the mountain slips and you fall to your death. I mean, these are just kind of, gross examples, but still we can hear and read about these things happening to people quite often. But apart from that, it means that also we could die unexpectedly, and if the mind is still dominated by sensual pleasures, or at least anyway to some extent caught by them, then that will be a reason for determining where the mind might be born again. So this is just an analogy for that. But basically it means how easily our mind is always on the lookout for sensual pleasures, and that usually it's in the future, or the mind is planning and scheming, how is it going to get its next sensual pleasure? And so that takes us out of the present moment. It takes us out of our body in the present moment to planning and scheming and thinking about the sensual pleasures that we want to get. So I'm going to read the story connected with this verse. So it is said that there was a king in India at the time of the Buddha. One king, he got angry because somebody made a disparaging remark about him, and it probably was on some other, clan or some other opposing group for the king. Made some disparaging marks about this king. So this king got angry and went and killed a lot of people in that other village. And it was actually the kinsman of the Buddha himself. So the Buddha came from a clan called the Sakyans up near the Nepalese border. And so this evidently some people in the Sakya clan were making disparaging remarks about this king who was, belonged to some other group. And he came and killed him. by quite a lot of them. And then when the Buddha went back to his native village, actually this king, so he traveled to this village and killed a lot of people, and then went back to his own, kingdom. And on his way back, it says that he camped with his followers or soldiers on a riverbank. So, a large riverbank. So they stopped for the night to camp by the riverbank. This king who had just killed these other people. And that at night, an unexpected flood swept them all out to the sea. And then the Buddha came to hear about it. Some people came to the Buddha and said, "Oh, you know what happened to this king? That killed all your people in your native near Kapilavastu." And then hearing that the king had met his end because he was consumed by sensual pleasures, because he conquered the other village in order to steal their women or to take revenge on whatever. But anyway, so based on this event, the Buddha recited this verse. He remarked that the people come to ruin without accomplishing their objects. So, people have lots of plans, don't they, about their life and what they're going to do and so on, what they're hoping for. But, before that ever comes, that person can come to ruin, especially if they're consumed by sensual pleasures. They could, get killed in so many ways, indulging in various sensual pleasures, and the larger picture of their life, or what they perhaps wanted to achieve in life, gets ruined by this consumption by sensual pleasures. So, that's a very, the pull of sensual pleasures. Again, most of our karma is directly involved with trying to satisfy or obtain pleasurable feeling from the senses. So people will kill, lie, cheat, steal, rape, pillage, plunder, and so on, and then have to reap the result of all these unskillful karmic actions. And then there's a similar verse. I'll just recite it. It's fairly similar to the one we just went over. Pupani heva panchinatam bhaya satta manasam naram atittam eva kamisu antako kurute vasam. The person who gathers flowers of sensual pleasure, whose mind is distracted, and who is insatiate with desires, the destroyer brings under his sway. And the destroyer basically means death, or mara. And so basically it's the same meaning, it has the same meaning as the previous verse we recited. And I'll just read the story connected with this one. It seems that a woman had offered alms to the monks in the morning, and then she died in the evening. Doesn't say how she died, but of that same day. So in the morning, this woman had offered dana to the monks, and before the evening was out, this lady had died. And when this pathetic incident was reported to the Buddha, he spoke on the fleeting nature of life and added that people succumb to death with their minds still overwhelmed with desires. And as a correlate to that, the sensual pleasures is one thing, but it's also the aversion to displeasure or pain is sort of the opposite. So the mind is always going between seeking sensual pleasure and the avoidance of pain. Now, one of the main reasons why we get addicted to sensual pleasures is because we're feeling some kind of pain. That means we're not satisfied with what is. That means we're not satisfied with the present moment. And that's painful. So like a person might get lonely, right? They're sitting around their house, and they're getting lonely. So that's painful. They have desire and craving for social interaction or for excitement, and they just have to sit down and they're not used to just being able to be content with the present moment and know how to get their pleasure from the piti and the sukha, which is an attribute of their inner mind, to be able to just sit and feel their body and be content with the present moment. So no one's ever been trained in that. So that's painful. So boredom and so on like that, discontent is because of, always needing to be stimulated in one way or another, or to keep busy. It's for the ego, the sense of self, to keep busy. We may talk more about in a bit. So, so that's the main thing, is to really understand the nature of sensual pleasure and why people get addicted. It's because they've been disconnected from the present moment. That's what I've been in all of my, meditation teachings and so on. That is one of my recurring themes, that we've lost that connection with the present moment, which is this breathing body. And in the present moment is completeness and fullness, because there's no thoughts about the past or future, or the memories of pleasure and pain that re-stimulate your fears and anxieties and cravings. So when the mind is resting in the present moment, with a pleasurable object, of course, and the body is a very pleasurable object if we know how to feel it. And we can kind of, tune into the subtler vibrations of the body, you could be content, you could reach even the fourth jhana. Each one of those jhanas has bliss of the body connected with it, or especially the first two or so, which is just a present moment experience, and it's free, and it doesn't involve any danger, but we've never been taught that. But once you know how you're able to tune into that, the need for more sensual craving and desire gets less, because at any moment you can just sit and, contact that natural present moment awareness connected with the body that's always there. Okay. Again, if anybody is having any questions that come up based on these, what we're discussing, then you can write it down, in the chats.
Can I ask a question, Bhante?
Okay.
Although it's not in the chat. No, I am confused about one thing you said about that king, that somebody made a bad remark about him, and he went and killed a lot of people.
That's what the story says, yes.
As a revenge to that one person?
Well, maybe he just took it out on the whole village, because maybe it was a common refrain. Maybe this man mentioned it, but maybe a lot of the people, because look at even in our politics, right? So
Yes.
a lot of people would like to say a lot of things about certain politicians, right? But maybe only one or two does it.
Yeah.
And then that politician will take it out on the whole group. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So there's so many instances of this kind of thing. So I think that's probably what happened with this king. But I didn't go into the details of it. But I would assume, knowing human nature,
Yeah.
these things happen.
Bhante, you gave a brilliant example, by the way. Thanks.
Okay.
The example you gave was brilliant.
What example was that?
Just now you,
Oh, the politicians. Well,
yes,
they dominate the news, right? And
yes,
every single type of suffering we can see, slandering others and dirty language towards others. They're all politicians. That's what they do, pulling
yeah,
skeletons out of their closets and so on.
yes,
Because that's the only thing they have to show. They don't have anything on their own merit. So
true.
they try to tear down the others. And so people will look at the others and not to see their own faults.
Yes.
That's very powerful.
Yeah, and that shows their own weakness, actually.
Yes. That's why weak people do that. Strong people wouldn't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they have no need to.
Yes.
They don't have any need to defend themselves.
Right.
Okay, let's go on to verse number 50. This is a good connection. This is another connection to the same kind of thing we were just discussing. So I'll read this Pali verse. Na paresam vilomani, na paresam kata katam, attanova avekkeya katani akatani cha. Let one not seek the faults of others, things left done and left undone by others, but one should look at one's own deeds done and left undone. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but it means instead of picking out the faults of others, we should focus on our own faults. And everyone's got plenty of faults. They like to, of course, cover it up. And, certain individuals we were just kind of referring to a few minutes ago, they don't think they have any faults. Everyone else is the fault. So the Buddha advised people to look at their own faults rather than focusing on other people's faults. And the story about this is there was an ascetic, probably a rival of the Buddha. There was, a lot of different groups of mendicants and ascetic sadhus and so on. So one of these ascetics, and they had their own following. Some of these ascetics had their own followings, and male and female followers too. And it seems that this one ascetic had a female follower, and she heard about the Buddha, and she wanted, this guy, the Buddha, sounds pretty interesting. I want to go here and talk by him. And this ascetic got jealous and told her, no, you can't go. I don't want you to go hear the Buddha, because that the Buddha used to, if people hear Buddhas talk, they'll go and become followers of the Buddha. there's so many hundreds of sutras in which we've already recorded that happening. But anyway, this lay follower didn't obey that teacher's instructions, and she invited the Buddha to her house, for lunch. And then the Buddha, gave a Dhamma talk to her after lunch, was the custom. And then that ascetic, must have heard about it. Somebody might have been telling, oh yeah, that female disciple has invited Buddha for lunch. He's giving him a Dhamma. So he got furious, and he went to the house, and he barged into the house, and while the Buddha was giving this Dhamma talk, and abused her and the Buddha. Doesn't say how, but probably just calling them a bunch of names. And then this woman got perturbed. She got upset at this sudden outburst by her, supposed teacher, and outburst at the Buddha. And so the Buddha then recited this verse, because this woman got angry at her teacher, who was angry. This teacher was angry at her and the Buddha, and then she got angry at the teacher for being angry, for wanting to listen to the Buddha. So the Buddha advised her not to seek out the faults of her teacher. She might have then started spewing out the faults of her teacher, but to look at her own faults. So anyway, that's a very good advice. And that's an aspect of mindfulness, So whenever we're about to talk about others, we should always check, am I free from these same kind of things, And if we see that we're not totally free from similar types of qualities, then we shouldn't talk about the faults of others. Because again, there's a lot of ego involved beyond that. You're trying to protect your self-image, and then trying to tear somebody else down. And usually it's because of some, sensual pleasure. So, the same politicians we were talking about, that's all they do. They don't have any merits of their own, and they just tell, the faults and the doings of the others. And it's all based on the ego wanting to, win, usually, or to get something out of it. So, now, I'll go ahead and says, I'll just do two more verses here that have a slightly different, meaning. Again, I'll read the Pali verse and then the meaning. Yatapi ruchiram puppam vanavantam magandakam evam subhasita vacha apala hoti akubato. Yatapi ruchiram puppam vanavantam sugandakam evam subhasita vacha sapala hoti sakubato. These are sort of twin verses. As a flower that is lovely and beautiful but has no scent, even so fruitless is the well-spoken words of a person who does not practice those words. So, we can have a beautiful flower, that might have a lot of nice colors and beautiful petals, but if it doesn't have a nice fragrance, then, it's only got sort of half of its And so, a person can, and there's plenty of people like that, who might be able to recite beautiful passages from so much poetry or religious verses, and even the Dhamma or the Psalms, or whatever religion they follow. But then in their actual life, they're not following those teachings. If it says turn the other cheek, and then you keep on, beating and taking revenge on people that do anything to you, so you're not, following that kind of teaching, for example. Okay. So, and then the opposite is a flower that is lovely, beautiful, and scent-laden. Even so fruitful is the well-spoken words of one who actually practices it. So that's, like a beautiful looking flower that also has a very nice fragrance. Because, a flower, it might be beautiful, right? But you get up to it. But what usually lingers people is the scent, right? It's the scent that attracts them. The color, the flower itself might attract them a little bit, but when they get that scent, then they want to, stay around the flower longer. Otherwise, they may go to look at the flower. Oh, yeah, that's beautiful and nice, But if it doesn't have a fragrance, then they don't stay attracted to the flower. So in the same way, people might go and listen to all these flowery statements of whoever it may be, religious people, politicians, and others. But, and they might be able to, fool the people for some time, but eventually they'll see that they're not following that. So, okay, so those verses, and I'll give the story connected to these two verses. So there was two ladies of the court. I guess it means the king's court. Two ladies who were studying the Dhamma under Venerable Ananda. So oftentimes the Buddha, the monks, there might be a monastery or a place that's near to a palace, because a lot of the kings used to invite the Buddha and other monks and build an avasa, a residence, or a monastery where the monks could live nearby, because the king also wanted to hear Dhamma. So, and then the people who, living in the king's court, king's wives and so on, or others, used to go listen to Dhamma. So Venerable Ananda was one of their favorite teachers. So one of these ladies studied well, but the other lady, it said, made little progress. So the Buddha made this statement, like the person who makes no effort to study Dhamma is like a scentless flower. So anyway, having gone over those 5 verses now, let's see if there's any questions that any of you might have. Doesn't look like there's any questions in the chat. So if there's no questions in the chat, if anybody has a... Well, it's not a question, but here's something that came up into the chat group, that You may not understand what the meaning of that, but that's a link to the Ottawa Buddhist Society. And I'll be doing an online one-day, like a DOM, you could say, a one-day meditation program. Well, actually, there's a program on Friday night and a program all day on the Saturday of February. I believe it's 11th and 12th, that weekend around the 11th and 12th of February, and over Zoom. And they've offered to put out the link there. So if any of you are interested to, join that Zoom program, that would probably take the place of my, actually Saturday. Oh yeah, no, we don't do a program on Saturday anyway. So yeah. So anyway, that's going to be on the Saturday. So if you're interested in that, I think you have to maybe register for it or so, but you can check that out if you're interested in that.
Yes, Bhante. If people are interested, they have to first go and to that link, online program, and register. Then they'll get the Zoom link coming on the Monday before that event.
Okay, so that is Nisanka. He's one of the, I wouldn't say leader, but he's a member of that Ottawa Buddhist Society, and so he's explaining that procedure for that. Thank you, Nisanka, for clarifying that. Is there any questions about any of those?
No, Prashant, I was going to ask you if you.
This way, so we go back. On the next in-breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers. Turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch your head back, arch backwards a little bit. The out breath, turn the palms down, touch the top of the head. And 2 more times, in breath, palms up, straighten the arms, stretch the head back, bend backwards. Out breath, touch the head. Once more, in breath. 3rd time, hold that upward stretch longer. Feel the sensation. And release the fingers. The out breath, arms back to the side. Just relax. Feel the increased body sensations in your hands and fingers, arms. Feel the feet pressing the floor. Remember standing. Present moment, the standing body. And then next on the in-breath, push up on the toes, the arms over the head in this way, facing the hands toward each other, and stretch up. Out breath, arms back to the sides, heels to the floor. Use the breathing to help lift and lower the body. In breath. Out. In, out. Relax. Keep feeling the body, the increased body vibration sensations. Remember standing. Just let your thoughts come and go in the back of the mind. Keep the feeling of the body in the front of the awareness. The present moment, body-centered awareness. The natural awareness. And next we'll do the knee bending. Again, on the in-breath, up on the toes and lift the arms up front for balance. On the out-breath, bend the knees, lower down, balancing on the balls of the feet. And a deep breath to push up. All the way up on the toes. Out. In. Out. In. The out breath, relax. Feel the increased heartbeat, other pulsations, sensations. Even feeling where the clothing touches the skin on different places. And next we'll do side bending using one arm at a time. So on an in-breath, raise your left arm up. And keep the fingers and arms straight, close to the head. On the out-breath, bend over the right side as far as you can. Keep the arms straight, touching the side of the head. In-breath, lift up. Again, same side, out-breath. In-breath. Out. In. The out-breath, lower that arm. Next in-breath, raise the other arm. And 3 times, bending over the other side. Out-breath. In. Out. In. The out breath, lower that arm. Try to feel the outline of the whole body, all the subtle vibrations on the surface of the skin or inside, underneath the skin, subtle pulsation. Just remember standing, standing, standing. Okay, now spread the feet apart, legs and feet, wider the better, at least 3 feet. We do twisting from side to side, holding the arms out. Breathe in. And look at your right hand on the out breath, twist around to the right. Keep your eyes focused on the hand going back. In breath back to the front. Let the feet turn with the body and then turn to the other side, out breath. In breath, front. Just continue that 2 more times, each side. Once more to each side. And relax. Feel the sensations in the shoulders. There's any other sensations. The more different, purely physical sensations you can notice on or in the body helps to keep the mind grounded in the present moment, out of your thoughts. There's so many pleasant or neutral sensations there in the body we can just listen to and feel and be contented with just feeling that aliveness of the body. Okay, now bring the feet back together. We're going to do a more advanced backward and forward bending exercise. So just be careful with the back bends again. Don't bend back too far the first time. You keep the palms kind of out in the front. And on an in breath, you make a gradual opening with the arms as you breathe in and start to bend back. And bring the arms out to the sides. Look up at the ceiling. On the in breath, lift up. And on an out breath, lower the hands down toward the floor. If you can touch the floor with the hands, that's good. And begin standing up, turn the palms outward again, make the gradual V or opening with the arms out to the sides while bending back. The in-breath. And lift up. On the out-breath, hands down to the floor. Try to keep the legs straight if you can. Again, stand up. In breath. The opening of the arms out to the side. In breath, lift up. Out breath. On the in-breath, to finish, bring the hands to the chest. Out-breath, back to the sides, relax. Feel the whole body. Good. One last exercise, the head turning from right to left. On an in-breath, turn your head to the right. Try to look over your right shoulder. Out breath, turn 180 degrees back to the left, to look over the left shoulder. In breath back to the right. Concentrate into the neck vertebrae. And imagine, feel them loosening up. Out breath left. Once more, in breath. Out. On the in-breath, let the head stop in the center. Just feel the whole body, feet pressing the floor, the arms and hands at the sides, head balanced on top, clothing touching the skin on different places. Present moment of the body exactly as it is, here and now. Starting point for any deeper meditation. Standing, standing, standing. Okay, we'll come back to our seats, get ready for the sitting meditation.
Bhante, there is one question in the chat box. So you have to scroll up. It's from Bhaskar.
Question from Bhaskar.
Yes.
Before we get to that, I see Fabiana, who's a Dhamma student, a friend from Brazil. She's mentioning that she seems that she knows this person who hacked into us. Somebody looks like they're a believer in God. That's good. But so anyway, thank you, Fabiana, for pointing that out. Hopefully, if anything like that happens in this next meditation, would you use that as a test of our patience and equanimity? Right? Okay. So this question, after enlightenment, the Buddha had option to preach or become the king of his country. He didn't really have that option. Even that was told to him by the three wise persons, but it was always his destiny to become a Buddha. That was just a kind of a ruse, because of his past life experiences and being a bodhisattva. It was all planned out that he would become a Buddha in this life, but for the sake of, just conventional talk and, make it sound like the Buddha chose, but he didn't really choose. It was a karma choice, just like I didn't really choose to become a Buddhist monk. It's the mind that says, hey, look, you're going to become a monk. That's it. I don't care what you think. So he became a monk. So the same with the Buddha, I think. Anyway, he preached Dhamma as a monk. Well, it's true. Now, if the Buddha had become, he wouldn't have become just an ordinary king. He would have been a righteous wheel-turning monarch, a Dharma Raja. So it's not that the Buddha had a choice to become a king or a monk, not an ordinary king. The wise men said he would become a righteous Dharma king, a wheel-turning monarch. So, yeah, and so, he would have been like his father was King Ashoka. Later on, several hundred years later, he became a Dharma Raja, and, he propagated Buddhism and so on. So, yeah, but the Buddha, he said the greatest king, being king of a certain part of India, okay, you do good only in your certain area, but look at the Buddha. He became a king of the Dhamma, and it's all over the world. All these other kings that live in various countries are all forgotten about in the history books, and they only do work within their own kingdom. But look at Buddhism is spread around the whole world, and we're all benefiting from that. So his decision, not the decision, but yeah, his becoming a Buddha, was he was a king of Dhamma. He was a king, but king of Dhamma. So that's greater than, becoming a king of just land, or ruling over people. So, because the kings have to force people to obey his things. Otherwise, they get threat of execution and other punishments. Whereas the Dhamma, accepting the Dhamma comes from within each person. Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and have our meditation now. So again, I'm going to shut off this my video. Okay, just try to sit straight, keeping the head and spine in a straight line. Once you place your hands either on your lap or on your legs, try not to move the hands. Try to keep the chin lifted up level to the floor. And gently close the eyes. And first of all, just feel the weight of the body pressing the seat. Feel where the buttocks press the seat. Feel that contact, the sensations. Try to feel the left and the right buttocks. And just remind yourself of sitting. Then mentally feel the legs, kind of move the attention down the legs past the knee, into the lower leg, and down into the feet, to feel the heels, the arches and toes of the feet. Try to feel those subtle little sensations on the feet, the socks touching the skin of the feet, or sensations inside the feet, pulsations, prickling sensations. And just remember sitting. Just feel that solid grounding of the body to the floor, buttocks and feet or knees pressing the floor. And now move the attention up to feel your hands and fingers, where they touch together, where they touch your legs. Try to notice the outline of your thumbs or fingers. Try to feel the subtle pulsations or sensations in the fingers. Just remember sitting. Now feel the weight of the arms hanging from the shoulders. Relax the shoulders. Feel where the clothing touches the skin of your shoulders, arms. And feel the straightness of the back and spine. And feel the head balanced on top of the neck. You're aware of the chin, try to keep the chin up level with the floor. Just mentally feel that alert posture. Now feel your face, the sensations on your face, the skin stretched over the skull. Feel that tightness sensation on your forehead, or bridge of the nose, chin. So many little subtle sensations on the face. And feel the lips touching together. Lots of sensations in the lips. Feel any sensation of dryness or moistness. And feel the tongue laying in the mouth where it might touch some teeth. Just feel the raw sensation. This practice is simply developing present moment awareness in the body. Be aware of any urge to want to swallow. You now feel the eyes resting in the sockets, and the eyelids stretched over the eyeballs. It's kind of like gaze on the back of the eyes. You might see some color or patterns or an image or light or just darkness. Feel any subtle eye movements, the blood pulsing in the capillaries of the eyes or eyelids. Relax the eyes. There's a lot of greed to see. The desire to see is one of our strongest senses. We always want to look at nice objects. It's that sensual desire. Now from that point behind the eyes, try to feel the outline of the whole body. It's that general sense of the buttocks and feet underneath, the arms and hands at the sides. Clothing touching the skin on different places. The head balanced on top. All of those different sensations create the mosaic of a sitting body, which is a perception in the consciousness. Just be aware of sitting. Now begin some deep, slow breathing to help ground and center the attention in the body. Try to do some 3-part breathing if you know it. Expanding the abdomen, rib cage, and upper chest, holding the air in the lungs, 2, 3, or 4 seconds, and then feel the relaxing contraction of the out breath. Helps to oxygenate the blood, activate the cells of the body so you have more feeling, sensation, better circulation. Just cultivate this basic mindfulness, taking some more deep, slow breaths. Just breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Hold the breath a few seconds. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. Now continue taking some slow, deep breaths if you can. We're going to count the breaths from 1 to 10 to develop a better concentration. Just keep the attention focused on the expanding and contracting sensations. With the next expanding in breath, mentally count 1. Hold the breath in a couple of seconds. Feel the pause and the out breath. Contracting out breath, count 1. Feel the last bit of air go out of the lung. And the next expanding in breath, 2. Contracting out breath, 2. In breath, 3. Out breath, 3. In breath, 4. Out breath, 4. In breath, 5. Out breath, 5. In breath, 6. Out breath, 6. In breath, 7. Out breath, 7. In breath, 8. Out breath, 8. In breath 9. Out breath 9. In breath 10. Out breath 10. Discontinue the counting. Let the breath return to its own uncontrolled, shorter rhythm. But continue to feel it. Try to feel the subtler sensations of the clothing rubbing against the skin of the stomach or rib cage or chest during the breathing process. Just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it. And try to notice the 4 phases of the breathing process. The expanding in-breath and the brief pause. The contracting out-breath and the brief pause. We're just in sitting. Out, sitting. Just make that the object of your applied and sustained thought. Just remembering the present moment. In sitting. Out, sitting. It's the ongoing, continuous connection to the present moment awareness. This breathing body is the natural connection to the present moment awareness. And just relaxing the body and mind with each out breath. With each out breath, just relaxing the physical body, any tension, relaxing the mind, letting go of the past and future. And try to notice how each breath is different. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's shorter. Sometimes you feel it more in the abdomen, sometimes you feel it in the chest. It's always changing. Sort of be like a scientist sitting in your laboratory, looking down to the microscope of concentrated awareness. Even while feeling that breathing process expanding and contracting, you might notice feel the heart beating. Because the breathing and the heart beating are intimately connected. If you're able to feel the expanding and contracting, the heart beating, you have a very deep level of centered concentration. But at the same time, be alert for thoughts trying to sneak up and steal your mind away. Just let the stream of thoughts come and go in the back of the mind, keeping the sensations of breathing body in the front of the awareness. In sitting, out sitting, breath by breath, moment by moment. Even while you're feeling the breathing process, other sensations can be felt around, through the breathing body, touch of clothing on the skin, prickling sensations, body movement, aches or pains, pleasant sensations, unpleasant sensations. Those are all part of the life process of this body. Occurring in the present moment. If you get caught up in thinking, recognize it as thinking. Let go of the thoughts. Keep coming back to reconnect the breathing body. Back to in, sitting. Out, sitting. If you have too many thoughts, you can do some more deep, slow breathing to help stay more connected to the body, focus. Be alert when any pains arise in the body, urges to want to move. Just be aware of urging, or wanting. Just relax around those sensations. See how they're always in a state of change. Build up to a peak, diminish, or vanish. If the mind gets caught up in any of the hindering thoughts of sense desire, or ill will, or doubts, just notice those, apply the appropriate antidote, let them go. Just maintaining contact with the breathing. The mind is calm and centered enough to be aware of the five aggregates as they come and go. Being able to recognize this is material form, this is feeling, this is perception, volitional activity, the consciousness, the thought of I, me, or mine. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. Sensations come and go. Thoughts come and go. Perceptions come and go. Urges come and go. Sounds come and go. Pleasure and pain come and go. These are all just the constant stream of change and flux and permanence of the five aggregates through this body and mind. Just try to get that sense of sitting in the balcony of a movie theater, just watching this movie of the body and mind. This body sitting and breathing, its various aches or pains, the mind tripping out with all kinds of thoughts, ideas. Desires, aversion. Just create that detached awareness like you do when you watch a movie. It's not really you. Just actors, karma working itself out. So what perceptions or thoughts arise based on that sound contact? Sabbi sankhara anicchati yada panyaya pasati atanibindati dukhi Isamago Visuddhiya. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. They arise only to change and vanish away. Having understood this with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to purity, to freedom. And thus spoke the Buddha. Okay, now let us spend the last few minutes of the meditation and generating thought and body sensations of metta, combining it with deep, slow breathing. So let's try to do some deep, slow breathing again, really filling up the lungs, holding the air in for several seconds to feel that subtle oxygenation sensations of the blood, cellular activation, and feel the relaxing contractions of the out breath. As you're breathing in and holding in the breath, just imagine that as sending metta out to your body and mind, oxygenating the blood, that vital life force going out to charge up all the cells of the nervous system, tranquilizing any agitation, feeling the relaxation on the out breath. So just the fact of doing deep, slow breathing is like sending metta to your own body and mind. Calms the body and calms the mind. As well, cultivating these thoughts. May I be well, peaceful, and wise. May I be free from excessive attachment and greed, worry, fear, anxiety, anger, or hatred. May I be free from the pains and sorrows of body and mind brought about by such unskillful thought, speech, and action. May I have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May I continue to deepen my understanding of the Dhamma in the practice of meditation to help free the mind from confusion and suffering. May I be well, peaceful, and wise. Now continue to take some deep, slow breaths if you can, and with each out breath, imagine sending these waves of metta vibration to your family members and friends, relatives, colleagues that you work with, people that you see every day. Just thinking, may all of them be well, peaceful, and wise, free from greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance, free from worry, fear, anxiety. May all of them have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. If they haven't already, may they also have the opportunity to hear the Dhamma and practice meditation to help free their minds from confusion and suffering. May they be well, peaceful, and wise. Now, in a more general sense, again, continue with the deep breathing if you can. But with each out-breath, imagine these waves of metta vibrations, these thought vibrations of calmness, peacefulness, wisdom, going outward across the countryside to the towns and cities. Send some extra metta vibrations to the Washington area, especially during this time of the inauguration. Create more peaceful vibrations so that there's no ugly or violent activities. You may just keep radiating these waves of metta, especially on the out breath. Just waves of metta vibrations going further and further outward, across the whole country, across the oceans, to envelop the whole world. Just with the thought, may all living beings, wherever they might be, living far or near, visible or invisible, weak or the strong, rich or the poor, may all living beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May all beings be able to learn and understand the teachings of the Dhamma and the practice of meditation to help free their minds from confusion and suffering. May all beings be able to live peacefully and harmoniously together, understanding the ultimate interconnectedness and interdependence of all things. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. It's like a mantra reverberating throughout space. Well, peaceful, and wise. Now to finish, I invite you to join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times, slowly with the out breath. And place the hands together at the chest if you like. And take a deep breath with the chanting on a long out breath. Now place your hands at the edge of the knees. And on another in-breath, stretch the head back and pull the hands against the knees to stretch, arch the spine. And lift the head up on an in-breath, and on the out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebra. And lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Prashant, are you there? Can you give me back my video? So friends, I hope you all had a peaceful meditation. And sorry about the temporary interference we had. But, that's all part of the practice. Anything can happen at any time, at any place. Things that intruding sensations and so on, and they're beyond our control. So those things are good to happen actually once in a while. So I wanted to ask, I saw our friend Fabiana. Can you come back on there for a second?